I'm David Fuller, and I send greetings to theater lovers around the globe. And I am going to adjust some settings I have that are okay. On behalf of Theater 2020, co-producing artistic director Judith Jaros and myself, I welcome you to our first online community outreach presentation. Theater 2020 has presented our free Hearthside reading series at the Brooklyn Heights Library branch for many seasons, and we are proud to continue this program online during these times when we cannot yet gather safely in person. The library and the arts are precious commodities to all humankind, and we thank Rachel Tiemann and the Brooklyn Public Library for their support of the arts and our organization. If you enjoyed this presentation, we encourage you to go to support our mission by visiting us at theater2020.com. Let me spell that. That's theater2020.com. Any support at all is greatly appreciated. I'm now going to turn over our further introductions to Theater 2020's resident playwright and the author of today's event, Jane Austen at Prinny's Palace, Lynn Marie Macy.
Hello, thanks for coming and welcome to this developmental reading of my new script, Jane Austen at Prinny's Palace. And developmental means I'm still working on the script, but we're excited to bring you the script as it is now. This play has been inspired by a real event in the life of Jane Austen and is a comic exploration of her invitation by the Prince Regent to tour his royal residence, Carlton House Palace, hosted by the Reverend James Stainier Clarke, the royal librarian. First, we will start with a video as an introduction to the Prince's Palace, and then we will go directly into the reading. And afterwards, after the reading, there will be some short time for question and answers using the chat feature. But right now, we are ready to see the video. Okay, Rachel?
Sounds good.
Time, November 1815. Jane Austen at Prinny's Palace. Scene 1. Jane Austen enters into a single spot.
London, arguably the greatest metropolis on the face of the earth. The Royal Academy, the Royal Opera House in Covent Garden, the British Museum, the Theatre Royal at Drury Lane, the Lyceum, the circulating libraries. I stand at the epicenter of art, culture, and elevated thought.
Bonjour, mademoiselle. Pour le monsieur.
Ah. Madame Bigeon.
Oui?
Chamber pot.
Oh non, non. Oh mon Dieu! Oh, pardon, mademoiselle Jane, pardon! Oh, mais quelle gourde, mon Dieu! Je suis complètement à l'ouest! Merde!
So, no culture or elevated thought today. But I am the picture of domestic efficiency, am I not? As an author and frequent documenter of the follies and foibles of human nature, I cannot help but find immense diversion in the most unlikely of places. Beef broth and chamber pots, for example. Today began as any ordinary day in my family, with laughter and my blissful ignorance of the stark dilemma I'm about to face. I never knew a person's emotions could sink to the lowest depths while soaring to the ultimate heights all at the very same instant. My beloved brother, Henry, has been very ill, and I'm nursing him back to vibrant health, grateful for any precious time I'm able to spend with my absolute favorite brother. Henry, dear, Madame Bigeon has taken a great deal of time with this broth, and it may just be her finest concoction yet.
Oh, it smells dreadful.
Please be cordial and complimentary. You know it means the world to her that she please you. I'm not sure I heard you correctly.
It smells delightful.
Dr. Bailey's orders. Beef broth will help you regain your strength. You must savor every drop. Come now, you must know how pleased we all are that you are truly on the mend. You're surely to be up and about in a few weeks or a month.
I wish everyone would stop making such a fuss.
Henry, as your favorite sister, I live to make a fuss. Now, drink up.
Ugh.
Well?
It's rather good.
There.
Monsieur?
Henry?
This broth is simply delicious, Madame Bigeon. Thank you. It is sure to have me up and on my feet in no time. I will be executing a jig by month's end.
Mm-hmm. You'll have him dancing again, Madame Bigeon.
Bon, très bon.
Well done, Henry. You have made her exceedingly happy.
How can you tell?
I believe I understand her. I speak her language.
French?
Female.
Even after all these years, she still frightens me.
Nonsense, Henry.
Eliza was so diabolically fond of her.
Eliza? You would be lost without Madame Bigeon.
She is very efficient.
I should say so. You best down that broth. You've 2 more gallons to get through.
Lord, give me strength.
And that's the idea.
Touché.
Would Monsieur care for some more?
No, thank you. It was marvelous, mind you. I eagerly await my next dose.
Dose?
Like medicine.
Medicine?
In as much as your lovely broth made him feel so much better.
Oui.
Oh yes, much better.
Bon. Très bon.
You do speak her language.
I can only be grateful for her tender care towards Eliza.
Indeed, such devotion.
She wishes only to extend that same care to you.
It's rather touching.
It is. And I always know that when I must return home to Chawton, you are in the best of hands.
She still frightens me.
Oh, Henry. Tell me, what did you read in the papers today?
Ah, you will be delighted to know that your publisher is doing his job. Look here.
Oh, Mr. Murray? Let me see.
There.
December? I wasn't expecting Emma to come out until after the New Year.
Indeed. Then you had best brace yourself.
And here it is being advertised.
Right alongside the likes of Lord Byron and Walter Scott.
Walter Scott, Lord Byron, and
A
lady.
The authoress of Pride and Prejudice. I know you don't like to hear it, but someday I hope to see your name in print.
We discussed this, Henry.
You deserve some recognition.
You really must stop telling people that I am the author of Pride and Prejudice.
But I am bursting with pride. Whenever I have an opportunity to boast about my clever sister, I do not hesitate.
Amendment. Henry is merely my favorite brother.
Your novel advertised with Lord Byron and Walter Scott.
Henry, you're ignoring the primary purpose of writing anonymously.
What is that?
Anonymity.
Fiddlesticks. I can't help it, can I? When we were children, we all dreamt of being real published authors. And look who is the only one of us who has done it. My little sister. I want to crow to the rooftops.
Did you have to crow to Dr. Bailey? He seems a lovely gentleman, but what do we really know of him?
I was told he is physician to the Prince Regent himself.
Ah, that is a strike against him in my book.
He assured me of his discretion.
If his discretion is anything like Henry's, I shall expect to see my name blazoned across placards up and down Oxford Street.
Oh, what difficulty could possibly arise by me telling a few people the simple truth?
Pardon, monsieur. There is a gentleman come.
Henry is not receiving visitors today.
Doctor's orders.
Oh, not pour monsieur. For Mademoiselle Jane.
For me?
Oui. The gentleman, he comes from the Carlton Palais.
The Prince Regent's palace?
Oui.
And he wants to see me.
Oui.
Then bring him in. Bring him in by all means.
Henry!
Oh, I have been crumpled on my backside, bored out of my mind for weeks.
Henry, don't you dare!
First, wonderful beef broth. Thank you, Madame Bigeon.
De rien.
Then my sister's novel is advertised with the likes of Byron and Scott. And now, the Prince's Gentleman. How can this day get any better? Vite, Madame Bigeon, vite. Introduce him at once.
Henry Austen, have you lost your mind?
I have been bedridden for a month. This is a blessed distraction.
Distraction! A gentleman comes from Carlton House Palace for me, and you call it a distraction.
Come now, Jane.
Who is this man? What does he want of me?
Perhaps he carries an invitation to a ball.
He's far more likely to carry instructions to put me on the rack.
Now that's what I'd call stretching the truth.
Our day disintegrated into madness in a blink of an eye.
The Reverend James Stainier Clarke, Royal Chaplain, Royal Librarian at Carlton House Palace, Royal Mon Dieu!
Historiographer. Royal historiographer to the Prince Regent.
Oui.
Sir, you are most welcome to Hans Place. Please allow me to introduce myself. I am...
Mr. Henry Austen. Pleased to make your acquaintance.
May I present my sister, Miss Jane Austen?
How do you do?
Delighted. Forgive me for disrupting your domestic felicity. I trust, Mr. Austen, that Dr. Bailey's treatments have been beneficial.
Oh, yes. Thank you. Every day I feel improvement. Madame Bigeon, please bring us some refreshments. Tea.
She's French, is she not?
Indeed, sir. My brother's late wife, the Comtesse de Feuilly, engaged Madame Bigeon as housekeeper before troubles in France.
And the Count?
Madame Guillotine.
Great heavens!
Eliza and Madame Bigeon fled France together as refugees.
And yet their terrifying tragedy became my great fortune. I married my beautiful wife shortly thereafter.
And since the passing of the dear Countess, whom we regret daily, I believe Henry cannot do without Madame Bigeon.
I am terribly sorry for your sad loss, Mr. Austen.
Thank you for your kind words.
As for Madame Bigeon, she appears very efficient.
And so she is. Do you care for broth, Mr. Clarke?
Broth?
Henry.
Are you married, Mr. Clarke?
Alas, my duties to the prince have not to date allowed the time required to devote to a wife and family.
Ah, I highly recommend the married state, sir, as I have often told my sister.
Further amendment. Henry is quite possibly my least favorite brother.
As we have come to the prince, I feel it is my duty to tell you why I have come. When Dr. Bailey informed us that the author of Sense and Sensibility, Pride and Prejudice, and Mansfield Park was in London acting as nurse to her ailing brother, the Prince Regent and I were astonished, quite astonished.
Confirmation. Definitely my least favorite brother.
Miss Austen, the Prince Regent has engaged me as his messenger to convey his great admiration for your work and invite you to tour Carlton House Palace as my guest.
The prince wishes me to tour his palace.
It would be her honor.
I could not possibly leave my brother in his delicate condition.
Nonsense, Jane. I'm perfectly well enough to spend a few hours on my own.
But I would require a chaperone, and you are not well enough for such a journey.
Madame Bigeon can accompany you. I dare say she might enjoy the adventure of it. Consider it a date, Mr. Clarke. And Jane, I only require that you recount every moment back to me.
Oh, I will not omit a single detail.
Prince will be delighted. Would the afternoon of 13 November be suitable?
Perfectly.
It is a wonder, Mr. Clarke, that His Royal Highness should take notice of a mere scribbler of novels like myself.
On the contrary, Miss Austen, I assure you, the Prince Regent is an avid reader.
The Prince Regent, an avid reader, has the world turned on its head.
He has read Sense and Sensibility, Pride and Prejudice, and Mansfield Park with great relish. He has even requested that I keep a set of your novels at every royal residence.
At Windsor?
Naturally.
The Royal Pavilion.
Indeed. Buckingham House, St. James, and Kew.
Kew?
I am stunned by the Royal Highness's benevolence.
I have read all of your novels as well, Miss Austen, and I cannot begin to express to you my delight at the discovery the author is in London, and in our very midst. We thank you, Mr. Austen, for sparing her to us for an afternoon.
Oh, I'm grateful for the opportunity. I'm very proud of my sister, you see.
I can hardly fathom you coming all the way to Hans Place to issue the invitation personally. Why should the Prince Regent extend such kindness to me?
The Regent is an admirer of excellence, Miss Austen, of supreme excellence.
I detect something else lurking behind that knowing smile.
Mr. Austen, I must say, it is uncommonly difficult to comprehend that a person such as your sister, one possessed of such brilliance, is not already attached to an equally accomplished gentleman.
I have devoted my life to my work, as you have, Mr. Clarke.
Indeed.
Ah, here we are. Mr. Clarke, won't you take some tea?
Delighted. Ah, thank you.
And in spite of my brother and Dr. Bailey, I hope you and the Prince Regent will continue to keep my precious secret.
Indeed, we shall, Miss Austen. Discretion is my middle name. I always say there's nothing quite so delicious as good secret.
I knew it. He's harboring a secret of his own. I'm sure of it.
Except perhaps pastries. Madame Bigeon, this petit four is magnifique. I've never tasted anything so delectable. Mr. Austen, I envy you your housekeeper's skills in the kitchen.
Madame Bigeon is a treasure.
Miss Austen, His Royal Highness's condescension must be most gratifying to you. The Prince himself instructed me to show you every attention, but that is hardly a task, Miss Austen, and it is in fact my very, very great pleasure.
Encore, monsieur?
Ah, yes. Don't mind if I do.
How shocking to suddenly learn that the Prince Regent, Britain's sovereign-in-waiting and royal personage of dubious moral reputation, is apparently a great admirer of my novels. I'm utterly astonished. In my family, we look upon the Regent's behavior as less than honorable in the main. My brother James went hunting with him when they were young and knew him to be a drunken, dissipated rake. Yet he admires my novels. The conflict I feel regarding this shocking invitation already tears at my heart.
Now, Jane, here I feel it is my duty to point out that there are far few greater distinctions for any author than to be recognized by one's own sovereign. It would be most ill-advised to refuse an invitation to the palace issued directly by the prince.
Indeed. Shall I be sent to the scaffold? Honestly, Henry, we know him to be profligate, overindulgent, and abusive to our nation's limited resources. Only consider how much money he owes to your friend, the Earl of Moira. Heaven and earth, how much are the poor to be pitied and the rich to be blamed?
Then bear witness to it. Discover the truth for yourself. Consider this. As a lover of fine art and architecture, how unhappy might you be in retrospect to have missed this opportunity to scrutinize his lavish citadel and its famed collections. Bear all that in mind as you grapple with your scruples.
Henry always has a knack for the bottom line. He is a banker, after all. Moreover, my insatiable curiosity provokes me. Why? Why should the Prince Regent of Great Britain invite me to his palace? Shall I escape with my honor intact? Henry, headstrong, irascible, stubborn, wonderful, wise Henry. I blame him entirely for my predicament, for letting the cat out of the bag, as they say. Great heavens. What on God's green earth does one even wear to tour a royal palace? I've packed nothing but aprons and caps. I must undertake an excursion to the milliner's forthwith.
Scene 2. As the lights rise, we see a large, ornate library. James Stainier Clarke is working at his desk, writing feverishly. The Prince Regent enters. He uses a walking stick and taps on the desk with it.
Oh, forgive me, Your Highness. I'm afraid I did not hear you enter.
I've never been accused of stealthiness before. What has you so absorbed, eh? What is it you're straining yourself with, my good fellow?
I am writing a sermon for Sunday service, Your Highness.
Oh, yes, of course, of course. The endless sermons. I was hoping it was something more amusing.
I put a great deal of care and thought into my sermons.
Yes, yes, yes. I'm sure you're doing your efforts are most appreciated. But I now require your attention in a matter of vital national importance.
Your Highness?
You have not yet told me, what is she like?
She?
A mystery woman. The authoress, Miss Austen.
This is your matter of vital national importance?
How can you keep me in the dark? I burn with curiosity.
She is a very proper, kind, and clever young woman, Your Highness, yet very unassuming.
Really? I would never have guessed she's an old woman. Her writing is so deliciously amusing, so all-encompassing, so attuned with matters of the heart, so vibrant.
No! Your Highness, forgive me, that is not what I meant.
Well, out with it. Does she possess any beauty, men? Any vivacity?
Indeed, Your Highness. She is very striking, tall and graceful. She is perhaps in her mid to late 30s, if I were to venture a guess. And despite her simple attire, she exuded a kind of steadfast elegance.
I believe you admire her, eh?
Who would not admire her? Her sharp wit, her intelligence, her talents combined with her beauty and dedication to her family. I defy any mortal man to not admire her.
I would venture to say you fancy her.
Your Highness, I beg you.
I'm right! You do! You fancy her!
Your Highness, please. I should like to keep such indelicate feelings to myself.
And she is proper, you say?
Oh, yes. A very respectable woman from a very respectable family.
Ah, the more's the pity. I shan't be able to meet her. I would have riddled her with probing questions about Mr. Darcy and Lady Catherine de Bourgh. I want to know who she's based on, though I have my suspicions.
Your Highness, Miss Austen has not been presented at court.
Elizabeth Bennet. In my imagination, Miss Jane Austen is very much like Miss Elizabeth Bennet. I would love one spirited conversation with Miss Elizabeth Bennet.
Unless Miss Austen is presented at court, you cannot meet. Unless you wish to ruin her reputation.
Well, I have ruined many a woman's reputation purely for my own amusement.
I am sorry to hear it.
Not everyone can be proper all the time, you know. If everyone were well-behaved, who would you religious types rail against? Tell me that. You'd all be out of your jobs.
Then I should be grateful you and your scurrilous comrades do your utmost to keep me employed.
And so, Miss Austen is respectable.
Beyond my powers of description.
And when are respectable women presented at court?
When they come of age, Your Highness.
Or?
When their husband has performed a significant service to the kingdom.
Or?
Your Highness is well aware of all of this.
Or?
Upon their marriage.
Oh, there it is! I should have thought of it myself. I did think of it myself.
Your Highness, to be clear, are you suggesting I marry Miss Austen so she might be presented at court?
Good God, men, no! I wish you to marry Miss Austen because you fancy her. You work too hard, Clarke. You're entitled to some domestic bliss. And along the way, after she is presented, should she attend some of my artistic salons and engage in entertaining and soliciting conversation, the more's the better.
I am hardly marriage material.
Nonsense. You're an extremely eligible match. Despite your burgeoning years, quite a catch. You're not getting any younger. What are you waiting for, eh? Take the bull by the horns.
Your Highness, I couldn't possibly.
Consider it a royal command.
But there is no consideration of the feelings on the lady's side.
Woo her, my good men, woo her.
I give sermons, I write histories, I don't woo.
Oh, think of the challenge.
Humph.
Then consider the companionship. Contemplate the ultimate reward.
Your Highness, I beg of you.
Come now, Clarke. Matrimony with an enchanting, accomplished woman is certainly several steps above inadvertent congress with a startled quadruped. Oh.
Your Highness, you cut me to the quick, referencing that unfortunate event, the blackest day of my existence. The blackest day. I've not been able to look a donkey in the face ever since.
Where's your sense of humor, Clarke? You must not take these things so hard. The gents just wanted a little fun. Live a little, laugh a little. Get thee a wife, I say.
You make it sound so simple.
Nothing easier. I've had a number of them myself, haven't I?
Only one in the eyes of the law, Your Highness.
I dare say one will do the trick. Is everything settled for Monday? You are clear on all of our instructions?
Indeed, Your Highness. The very carriage is ordered.
Splendid. I have faith in you. I'm rooting for you, old man.
I thank you for your confidence in me.
No more avoidance, eh? I shall want to hear everything. Details, men. Details.
Yes, Your Highness.
Capital. Capital!
The Prince Regent exits. James Stainier Clarke takes his seat and tries to resume work on his sermon. He stops, crumples the page, and puts his head on the desk. End of part 1.
Thank you all for attending. I do want to say that part 2 of this lovely piece will be next Saturday at the same time, so don't forget to go back on and register at the Public Library's site for that event. And we'll see what happens to the poor Reverend Clarke, who is now being asked to go and woo Ms. Austen. I also want to, I'm getting some, let's see, where's our chat?
Some feedback. We're going to check the chat.
I can see
chat
in the
time
chat
and
that so many people are saying, great cast, very fun, thank you.
Yay. I hope I have to open up this chat now. Before everybody goes, I should say that the reading is the same time next week. And then also I want to put a little plug in for A Christmas Carol, which we will also be doing through the auspices of the Brooklyn Public Library, Brooklyn Heights branch, which will be in December, on December the 12th, 2020. So you can stay tuned for that. That is a radio play adaptation of A Christmas Carol, and it has live Foley sound effects. We've done it for many years live, actually in person. We're going to be doing it live on Zoom, which will be more akin to radio, I think, than any other time we've ever done it. So I hope you'll join us for that. And now I think we have some, and I also need to remind you to, if you like what you saw, to go to our website, www.theater2020.com, and click the donate button. We will happily take anything you would like to give us. Thank you.
So there's some nice comments coming in.
Yes, I'm wondering if it's...
Bravo, I so enjoyed this production and looked forward to next Saturday. Wonderful cast. Looking forward to part 2. Thank you all. Wonderful work. Oh, here. My jaw is still dropping at the implication of Reverend Clarke's inadvertent acquaintance with the hind end of a donkey.
Oh,
Well, there is a story behind that, and it will come up again in the future, perhaps. But
And then there's a huge hint to that in the pre-show
in the
video that we
video,
gave you.
there's a political cartoon that is based on an event in Reverend Clarke's life, and that was in the video, and you can all have a check on that video again, because we have it posted. It's posted on YouTube, and I can let everybody know the link to that if you want to see it again. So great fun! Can't wait for part 2.
Someone's also, Lori has asked, will we be streaming on 2020 or the Brooklyn Public Library? It's a link to the Brooklyn Public Library event. The link to it is on our Theater 2020 site now. And so you can get to that very quickly by going to our webpage.
Amanda.
I'm wondering if we can tell people where to go if they missed this part or missed part of a part or can't make next week.
Well, information about that will be coming out in the next day, because I believe this is recorded, so it will be posted on YouTube. And again, at theater2020.com, you will find I'm sure be able to find a link for that, and we will let everyone know when that's ready. So, and here's another comment. I felt as if I were listening to a lively radio drama. Congratulations to the whole cast with their mellifluous speaking voices. Awesome. Definitely going to return next week. That was great. Will this be streaming? Oh, I think someone got that one already. Okay, and I think the second part, I believe we will be recording that as well, and we will have that, and more information will be coming out about that as well. So
right. We'll have the links for both parts up on our website. So once they're both done.
So I think that's it on our comments. Does anybody have any questions about the piece? You can keep writing in chats if you're still interested to find out any more information. I did a lot of research while doing this play, and that's where I came across the political lampoon about James Stainier Clarke and the event that was referenced at Petworth Park, which is a very grand estate. The Prince Regent's court, the men of the court apparently got him drunk, and what ensued is highly amusing, except to everyone except for, of course, poor Reverend Clarke. And probably the donkey did not find it fun either. So, yes, poor man. Is Jane Austen's account in the letters? Her account of, some of this there's correspondence between her and James Stainier Clarke. And so part of this is, of course, based on research and, their correspondence. But of course, a lot of it is just my imagination and what may have happened, and, having a bit of fun with it all. And I do think it was a significant event in her life, getting this invitation to the palace. So
I'd like to point out one thing which I think is wonderful about Zoom events, because our Jane Austen is in London, England, and our Henry is in San Diego, California, which makes them about, 6,000 or 7,000 miles apart. And then Lynn Marie and I she's in New Jersey and I'm here in Brooklyn Heights. So I think that's one thing that's very cool about being able to do these things.
It's very exciting, and it was really fun. And that drawing, I think it's a watercolor painting of Jane Austen. Someone has mentioned that her fancy outfit looked lovely, and that was that was an actual watercolor painting in James Stainier Clarke's. It's called his Friendship Book, and it is believed to be of Jane Austen because it was done around the time that she was there, and a lot of people think it's representative of her, and I like to believe that it is. And also there are some letters where Jane and Cassandra, her sister, are describing some of the clothing items that are depicted in this little watercolor. Like they sort of match the descriptions. So it sounds really interesting, and I like to believe it. Does anybody, I think that's it, the end of our chat. And I think that's probably the end of our time today. But I wanted to thank the cast and thank the library.
Everybody did such a great job. I thank you so much, Lynn Marie, for creating this. Thank you, Rachel and the library, for helping us by hosting us. We look forward to doing it again next Saturday. Remember to, you can get the link to the Heights for the library. You can get the link on our website. I put the website link on the chat as well. It's pretty easy, theater2020.com. And it's going to be at the same time next week. We will also have a chat.
And they have to register for next week as well, separately, yes. Right?
That's right. It's already in our events calendar. Registration's already open, and you can go ahead and register. It'll be at 2 o'clock again next week.
I think I have nothing more to say except for on behalf of Judith and myself. I want to thank you all for the start of what is being a very nice Zoom event. And thank you, everybody, for your participation. Thank you, audience worldwide, for coming to see us.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye for now.
I'll end meeting. Thank you so much for joining us today and spending your Saturday with Jane Austen. Thank you.